I went to Costco and bought every single red wine they sell for under 15 bucks. I ended up with 16 of them, and today we're gonna find out which one is the absolute best. To do that, we're pitting them against each other in a head-to-head bracket-style tournament. That means in each round, only one wine can move on. And because all of the wines cost so little, more or less the same, I really don't think there's any risk of me being swayed by the price tag. So we're not gonna do this one blind. We're gonna raw dog this bad boy live. Are you ready? Let's get to boozing. We have got a Beaujolais Nouveau from the legendary Louis Jadot. This is 100% Gamay, which is a super light type of grape. It's from the Burgundy region, which is particularly known for Pinot Noir, but this one little village, they make Gamay, and they do it in a style that's very young. These are young, beautiful wines. On the other hand, we have Chateau Saint Michel, Cabernet Sauvignon from Columbia Valley, Washington. These are a very traditional Bordeaux style blend, so should be a very, very different sort of wine, a very different drinking experience. I'm gonna try my absolute best here for y'all. My goal is not to just figure out necessarily which one is like the best at this moment. What I'm trying to figure out, because they're so different, is like which is the more successful style, okay? Like which one is living up to what those sorts of wines tend to be. So with all of that, let's get going. That wine is shockingly good. There wasn't too much to talk about in the nose there, and it has a little bit of like an overly alcohol-y sort of through line, but I am certain with some air, this is gonna open up quite a bit. This one was $10 and it's pretty good. Okay, but conversely, let's try this lighter Gamay wine and let's see. Already it has way more to smell on the nose, like it has a heaviness, it has a little bit of like an olive sort of thing. Like it's seductive, it's elegant. This was bold and brash. You know, let's see how this one turns out. Oh man, wow. These are both really good. Wow. This is an incredibly difficult first round right out of the gate. Let me just start by saying that this feels so rare for these sort of tastings that two $10 options are both really pretty good. I think that for the average person, the everyday Joe, the good old, you know, like a good old Joe the plumber type of meat-loving American, you're probably gonna get more mileage out of this wine. It's just a bit more traditional. It has more in common with the wines that we know and love from places like California and Bordeaux. This wine, on the other hand, is way more alluring and seductive, and it just feels Burgundian, and I just have to say, for me, this is the more interesting wine. It's the one I want to get to know a little bit more, but god damn, this is really, really close. This is excellent wine for $10, but this wine is just a bit better for $11. So with that being said, let's move on. All right, and before we begin this next round, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dustin, and I've tasted thousands of wines, and I have a level 1 sommelier certification. But most importantly, I believe that wine shouldn't be so buttoned up. It should bring you joy. So while I am by no means the most expert wine guy, I promise to be the most fun. So if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do so, because by the end of this video, you will know the single best red wine you can buy at Costco for under 15 bucks. Let's keep going. This is a particularly interesting matchup. And what I mean by interesting, I mean is like wild, crazy, and kooky. These couldn't be more different in style. A Tempranillo from Rioja, 100% the same grape, spent a ton of time in oak, decades of tradition, all that stuff. This proprietary red blend from Bogle is not from a single place. It is from California, right? This is from a small part of Spain. This is from the biggest state in the country. And this is gonna be a mix of Bordeaux blend grapes. This is obviously Tempranillo. Like there's just a whole different philosophy of these two things. So we're evaluating these in terms of their style, not necessarily just in terms of which one is better at this exact moment. But let's see. Let me give this one a go. Bogle. Wow, that smells so like concentrated, syrupy grape. Like it's coming across a little bit of a flaw. It's coming across as like a little bit of an overly sweet grape thing. Like it's not messaging to me as a mature, sophisticated type of wine, but It happens time and time again where the way it smells is not the way it tastes. So let's give it a taste. Okay, good news. All of the people in the comments who really like Bogle, you're onto something. This wine has something to it. It actually has that backbone of pepperiness that I find to be really, really successful and alluring in Bordeaux blend wines. Bordeaux blend wines are wines that are primarily Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, etc. Okay, this is pretty successful. I don't love that syrupy sweet thing on the nose, but overall, that came together way better, and the little flaws that are there are managed pretty well. That's pretty good. That was $9 if I recall, and that's hard to be, to sneeze at for $9. So let's check out this Rioja next. Okay, this has a far more old world nose. Like in my mind, it has the smell of like a muddy field with rocks in it, which doesn't sound good, but it smells like you're smelling nature. Like it just smells like it's incorporated into nature in a really pretty way. And it has a heaviness to it, like a thickness. So I'm excited to give this a taste. Here we go. Also, look, the bottle gives us the cheat code. So it does spend 3 years being aged, but specifically it's 2 years in oak barrels and it's 1 year in the bottle. So it does get to 3 years. I was right up at 3 years. It's just kind of the allocation of those years is a little different. This is another toughie. This wine is remarkably available to be accessible and drinkable. Like anyone who's buying this to just like take it home and pop it and drink it, this is excelling at that. It was instantly good. This wine tastes like a more sophisticated wine. It's grown from an area of higher elevation. If you don't know, higher elevation wines have a particular advantage over lower elevation wines. And that advantage is that they tend to be from vineyards with lower yields. What that means is that all the way up there in the mountains, they can't plant as many vines as they can on the valley floor where you can get these perfect rows next to each other and you get tons and tons of grapes per acre. You just implicitly get less on the top of a mountain because it's all rocky and craggly. And so those grapes tend to get more minerality. They tend to get more of the earth for them. They tend to end up better grapes. In fact, if there is one little hack that you might be able to use to get better outcomes for you whenever you're at the wine store, it might be to search for wines that have elevation. I think that's an interesting little tack that helps find wines. Here's the thing though, this wine is just a little rough right now. I think with some time and some air, it would probably wake up. I really believe that it would. There's nothing implicitly wrong with it. It's just so uptight right now. Man, it's a 2018 and it's been aged for 3 years and it's still this tense. So if you haven't yet seen it, I totally recommend you check out my I Try 100 Years of Wine video where I taste the same Bordeaux wine from the same producer at different vintages. I tasted a 5-year-old one, 10-year-old, 15 or 20, even a 100-year-old of the same wine from the same producer. What you'll see is that it really matters how long some of these wines age. And in this case, this tastes like a wine that just needs more time. Like the 3 years has not been enough. It's so tense. Most people are going to be put off by it. And even though I know it's the better wine, this is the better wine. It is like, there is heritage. There's probably a vineyard passed down by generations. Like there's so many reasons to pick this. But as far as like its drinkability now, like its success, it isn't ready yet. And so if you're going to buy it to drink it in a few years, yeah, you should buy that. It'll probably be a banger in 3. But as it stands right now, this Bogle is the better one to buy. All right, let's move on. All right, up next we have another improbable matchup that I'm very excited about. We have a blended Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre Southern Rhone wine that is the Kirkland Signature brand versus Kirkland Signature's Malbec from Mendoza, Argentina. These are 2 Kirkland Signature wines that I think are pretty great. If you check back to the I rank every Costco brand wine video. This one wasn't in it. It wasn't available at the time, but my memory of it, having had it a few times, is that it's quite good for the money. And this did very well too. So this is very exciting to try these both side by side. Let's check out this Southern Rhone wine first. Here we go. This one's pretty light. It's like a little through line of pencil shavings and graphite, minerality. A little bit of like a black cherry thing going on, but it's not totally very expressive on the nose. But let's give it a taste. That is a really lovely Rhone wine. That is a great GSM. A GSM is a Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre blend. This is a classic blend from the Rhone Valley. They've replicated across the world. You can get GSM blends from California and the like. This wine is really pretty spectacular for 12 bucks, I think. It has like a tart cherry, but honestly like a burst of strawberry, but tons and tons of minerality and depth. Like, this is a pretty sophisticated wine. I really like this. So this Malbec has its work cut out for it, but this is, you know, if there is a wine that might be able to do it, it could be this one. Mendoza is legendary for having some of the best value wines on the planet. It's just a part of the world that really got bought up very quickly by prominent French and American winemakers 30, 40 years ago for pennies on the dollar for these remarkable vineyard sites. And so there's a chance that this wine might be able to outdo it. Let's take a look. Okay, pretty like plummy, no flaws on the nose, like plummy but simple, but also just has like a depth and alluringness. I'm excited to try it. Oh, wow. Okay, this has been so much better than the white wines. Oh my God. So far, statistically speaking, I can say it's a pretty good chance that if you buy a red wine under $15 at Costco, you're probably gonna have a good time. These are both great. This wine's like $7. This one's like 12. Okay, listen. I feel like this wine is very successful. It is peppery, it is robust, it is interesting. It has a zestiness that I find to be really, really pleasurable. But I just, at the end of the day, if we're looking at the style, a Malbec is typically like a pretty heavy, serious experience. Like, it's a wine that you can kind of chew on stylistically. Like, this is a pretty light interpretation of a Malbec. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's very, very good. But when I think of a Malbec, this isn't really what I'd think of. This tastes a little bit like a watered down, maybe a little bit more mass-produced Malbec. It's still really good. I'm stunned at how good this is, knowing that it's like $7. But this is Southern Rhone GSM. This is what that area tastes like, and it's doing so really without compromises. So for me, this one is the more successful wine, but that does not mean that this is a failure. This is a great option for $7. I also recommend it. Let's move on. Here we go. All right, up next we have two pretty, this is the less of a crazy matchup. I like this one. Okay, so on one hand, we have a classic Kirkland signature brand, a Costco brand, Cabernet Sauvignon. This is their Alexander Valley, so Sonoma County Cabernet. On the other hand, we have a Malbec. This is also from Mendoza, Argentina. And so these clearly different wines, but as far as stylistically, they're both gonna be loud, you know, brash, big wines, so I don't think it's as crazy to mash them up. But what I'm most interested in is that this one claims that it's a 96-point score that it received from Decanter. Like, 96 points, in my opinion, is an excellent wine. All right, let's pour out this Malbec. Already, can I just comment that I am not of the mindset, typically, that it's so important that you look at the wine. Oh, it's like, oh, you gotta see it, you gotta look at it. But what I've noticed, especially after doing so much more of these budget wines on the program to kind of cast a wider net with the audience, there is a look that just seems to be more apparent with cheaper wines. There's like a sheen to them. There's just like a little bit, it's hard to describe. It's as if wines that are more expensive, they're more concentrated, like light doesn't pass through them as much. There's just more sediment stuff. It feels like there's more to chew on. And so when a 96-point Malbec pours out and looks like this to me, like it doesn't give me the best immediate feeling. Like, I don't know if that's true because it just looks so smooth and glossy. And ultimately, like, my wife and I went to Mendoza, Argentina about 2 years ago, and we visited Viña Cobos, which is a legendary producer from Paul Hobbs in California. And we had their 100-point wine. It's like $300 a bottle. Okay, it's a few points less than this. I am certain that if I pulled that and poured it out next year, it would be like dark as night. It is pitch black. It would be heavy and thick and chewable. This wine is one of the first times I'm really like looking and being like, oh, this is where sight really might matter. But let's just see if that plays out. So here we go. Yeah, it just kind of smells like simple and traditional. Kind of smells like Josh Cabernet Sauvignon to me. Like, it just kind of smells like red wine. Okay, but it does taste pretty good. It's not like, my toes aren't curling, but like pretty good. It's not the most sophisticated thing, but it's pretty good. That's pretty good. This has surprised me. I would never in a million years have guessed that this was a Malbec grape. It tastes exactly like a traditional French Bordeaux blend. So that's cool, that's good. It's like a little fruitier. It does not taste like a 96-point wine to me, but it tastes like a pretty good one. Like a 91. I don't know, but I would probably give like a weak B. Here we go. This wine smells like cigarettes. This wine smells kind of like like an old pool hall, like an old billiards hall, in a way that I find to be kind of cool. This smells really, really nostalgic and cool in a fun way. It doesn't necessarily give me the feeling that it's going to be great wine, but it is great to smell. So let's give it a taste. Okay, it kind of a little bit tastes like an old billiards room. It's okay. It's not terrible. I find that wines, sometimes they droop. It's almost like someone working their way down a piano scale, like they're ending a song and they're like, boom, 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 boom. And you're like, okay, it's over. But they're just like, boom, 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 boom. And you're like, is it over? Boom. And you're like, oh, it just keeps going. He's getting lower and lower and like not better. Like, we're kind of ruining what was there. So all that being said, this has some flaws. It's kind of not showing up totally well, but it's not a total failure. But in this case, I gotta give Decanter some credit. They were able to pick the better wine in this case. And so it's moving on, and so are we. All right, up next we have, I think like from a price standpoint, a very even matchup. We have the classic grocery store treasure, Menage a Trois. And over here we have another Costco Cabernet Sauvignon. This one is from Columbia Valley, Washington. It's cheaper, I think it's $7 or so. And hey, look at that, a screw top, or a Stelvin is the technical term. So to be clear, sugar is an essential component of the winemaking process. Like, we need sugars. I mean, in most cases they don't need to be added, but it's not the worst thing in the world if a winemaker needs to add more sugar to get the fermentation started. Imagine, like, they're just, especially in places like Champagne where the wines are so dry and they don't have a lot of natural sweetness, this is a part of the process. So it's not always like, oh my God, there's sugar being added. But yes, I agree with you, Richard. Like, they are adding it to a point where they're creating a style, an intentional style, and that style is one of like sweet approachability. Let's see how they actually turn out. Here we go. This Menage a Trois smells like a boring Menage a Trois. There's not really anything going on to smell, which I would imagine Menage a Trois should smell hot. They should smell like musty with just like animal desire. Like, this wine isn't giving me any of that. It just kind of smells like just nothing. It's boring, a little sweet on the nose. So let's give it a taste. Okay, that's pretty sweet. It's not like so sweet. I think that we've had some other wines on the channel that might be sweeter. Like, I'm looking at you, like Meiomi Pinot Noir. Like, my memory of that was that it was just like someone took tablespoons of sugar into it. But it's sweet. I think to great effect to mask the flaws that are present. It's not that good. I don't really like it. This would have to really, really screw the pooch to not make it to the next round. There's also not much to smell here, but it doesn't have any sweetness to smell. I don't hate sweet wines, but this is clearly being used to mask a problem and not an intentional choice to be like, oh, I want to express the beauty of these grapes in a sweet way. This is like, we need to give these grapes every fighting chance they have. So let's just like pack these with Domino sugar. Here we go. This isn't even like a contest. This is by no means the best wine I've had so far, but it is grown-up adult wine. It has some roughness around the edges, but boy, oh boy, it is better than at least this Menage a Trois. So it's moving on, and so are we. Let's go. Okay, up next, we do have quite a bit more of a like for like. We have on one hand a $5 Cabernet Sauvignon from the Lodi. I am certain everyone will correct me in the compliments, so thank you so much in advance for doing that. I really appreciate it. And next, we have another Bordeaux blend. So this is a Cabernet Sauvignon driven wine, so as if it was from the left bank of Bordeaux. This is a just red blend, but it's primarily Bordeaux grapes from Washington State though, and it's Costco's signature series. This is actually, oh, I didn't even mean to do this. This is the most expensive wine of the tasting. This is the cheapest. This one's $5. So this is an interesting little matchup. All right, and by the way, if you've enjoyed nerding out with me so far about wine, then I think that you'll probably like my free newsletter too. Every few weeks, I send out an email with valuable wine info, and I even do free wine giveaways. So if you haven't yet, please consider checking out wineguydustin.com to sign up. That's wineguydustin.com to sign up. Completely free, tons of value for you. I'll see you there. Okay, up next, we've got our $5 wine versus our $15 wine. Let's see what we're dealing with. I will just say it's remarkable so far how little these wines have just been like flat out disappointing or a bummer. This wine is also not messaging as being completely flawed. It just doesn't smell like much, but sometimes cheap wines smell like, oh my God, that's so cheap smelling. This just smells like air and like faintest little thing of red wine. Let's give it a little taste. Okay, boy, that wine is a little interesting. It is very cheap tasting, and it tastes like they added sugar to it, but like, it's still pretty dense, and it still has a through line of pepperiness. It reminds me quite a bit of a wine that did exceptionally well in our $5 USA grocery store wine showdown, where we tasted 52 grocery store $5 wines to see which was best. And the Yellowtail Merlot was a pretty exceptional wine at the $5 mark. And I feel like this reminds me of it. Like this isn't immediately a turnoff. And boy, if you were about to have a wedding, wow, this is a great value for $5. It is not great wine, but it is pretty good. It's a little sweet, but it's got some complexity, and it's $5. So like, kind of like back off in a way. All right, so this really needs to just be a little more than just like cheap wine, and it'll probably win. But we have seen Costco fall flat on its face before. Let's give it a snill. Okay, it already smells a little bit more like peppery, a little bit more like tobacco-y, a little leathery. So it's exciting. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, it's, you know, I've tried this wine before, and I am certain that the last one that I had more like concentration. This is coming across as a little bit watery to me. And I have a clear memory of, a clear taste memory of this one. Like I was excited when I bought this one again. I was like, oh, I remember this one being pretty good. So wine is a living thing, vintages change. This is a massive, like, this thing's pulling grapes from all over the Columbia Valley. Who knows? But the point is, in this particular case, this wine is the winner, but I'm just a little heartbroken because I do know that I've tasted better ones of it. And this by no means is a bad wine. It's just not the winner in this particular case. But hey, pretty good. All right, let's move on. All right, up next we have a wine that I do have some bias against this particular producer. I don't think it's the worst by any stretch. And for sure, you know, in a pinch, I think it's totally good. But it's just like so big and like not really in my mind related to what I'm seeking in wine, which is like some sort of expression of a place and like the story of a winemaker, like a family, and like drinking something, you're like, wow, I feel really connected to this story and this place. Like, this is hard to feel that way. This feels a little bit more like a vessel for drinking. And then over here, I was really excited about this one. It's just Columbia Winery. So I think Columbia Valley in Washington, I think that their wines are excellent values. And so I think that that makes this a really interesting matchup. Clearly both values, and they're almost the same price, but in different ways. So yeah, I'm just excited. I think that these both cost almost the same amount, if I recall. And my excitement level for one of them is a lot higher than my excitement level for the other one. So, oh, these are both 2021s. When you're buying wine from Costco, that is a place with a lot of turnover in their inventory. Things do not sit on the shelves at a Costco for very long. The wine like completely changes the aisle every couple weeks, it seems, maybe every couple months at the most. So the fact that these are 2021s on the shelves is like clearly some intentionality there. Like, these must be just now becoming available, or they got a screaming deal on them. So either one, I hope that the story is intentional, like this needed more time and they let it have time. And this was like, Costco was like, what palette of old wine do you have that we can get a killer deal on? Let's give it a smell. Wow, this is so biased. I promise I'm gonna be fair. Here we go. This doesn't smell like anything, I promise. These smell a little bit like sun-made raisins, a little bit. Yeah, see that wine? It's just like sweet. It honestly really reminds me of the Menage a Trois. Both the one that we drank and that cool one I talked about in college. I just don't really get it. I just don't get it. I mean, I do get it at some level. Like, I don't think that winos are buying this wine, so it is more approachable than most of the wines we've had. It's a little sweet, it's easier to drink, has a little bit of complexity, but for me, it's not really the one. Let's give this one a go. Not much to smell here. It's a little bit of like a mouthwashy thing, which sounds like a bad thing, but that often literally evaporates. It's like an acetone type of finish. In my experience, when it's on the nose and that light, that tends to just kind of waft off. So this is a freshly opened bottle. Let's just keep that in mind. Here we go. Okay. Here is what we can learn about these two wines. This wine is made from a factory process. At some point, they put sugar in it and they make it sweet, and it really helps cover up any of the flaws. This wine tastes a heck of a lot more like a natural winemaking. I don't mean like natural, I mean like a typical winemaking process, or normal, or artisan. It has complexity, it has pepperiness, it has zestiness, it has like a green bell pepper thing going on. Like, this is enjoyable drink. It is not the best Merlot I've ever had, but it's $12. And in this case, it tastes a lot more like wine to me, and it is the one that is moving on. And you, sir, good day to you, Josh. One day, I hope we get a chance to connect, because honestly, you're an accomplished businessman. Wow, what an accomplishment to create this incredible brand. But boy, I feel like we could partner together and we can make a couple unique expressions of Josh Cellars that were a bit more of a place, a little bit less of a process. And I think that you might be able to create something really special for your customers. So moving on, here we go. All right, up next, we have another pretty like for like situation. We have a new Cabernet Sauvignon from Costco. I've never seen this one before. It's another Sonoma County, but broader. That other one was Alexander Valley, which would be a part of Sonoma County. So this is a bigger appellation to pick from, so likely of less quality. It was cheaper too, versus this Cabernet Franc from Octopoda. A little tip that can sometimes lead, I think more often than not, to you finding better wines is when you're looking on the shelf and let's say you've got a $10 budget. This wine was 10 bucks, this one was 7. This wine being 100% Cabernet Franc, that's a non-typical grape. That's a weird grape. Like, they have an uphill battle to market and sell that wine versus someone who's making Cabernet Sauvignon. So to me, there is a higher likelihood likelihood of quality in this bottle. Like, they can't be holding back the margins. Like, they have to put everything they can into this wine compared to something like Cabernet Sauvignon where they're like, all right, like someone will buy it. So these tend to be more passion projects. These might even be loss leaders. Like, they might be like, Jesus, we need to get rid of this wine. We made too much of it. No one wants to buy it. So I think that that can sometimes be really helpful, is when you're at the store and you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy something a little less typical than normal at lower price points. I don't think that scales. I don't think that you should be buying $100 weird wines for the sake of it. Buy whatever $100 wine you actually want. Okay, it is time to finally get to the sniffy part. Yeah, this smells, I hate to say it, but it just kind of smells like cheap wine. Like, it just has a softness to the smell. And like, when you can smell textures, like it's a fabric softener softness, doesn't normally bode well. But we've seen that be wrong before. Let's give it a sip. That's actually a lot better than it smelled. Wow. It's even, I think, better than the like the other Cabernet Sauvignon from Alexander Valley. That one had a little bit too much of a sense of place. Like, and that place might have been a stall, like a stall of a pigsty or something. I don't know. It was just a little too like of a barn. This is approachable. It's kind of what I imagine Josh should be. Like, it's not sweet, but it's approachable and soft and doesn't have that many big flaws. It's nice. It's like a easy drinker. So let's see if this Cabernet Franc lives up at all to that little approach I talked about earlier, about it being a bit off the beaten path. Okay, this has a bit more to smell. Like, it has a bit more of a mossiness, has a bit more of a heft to it. It almost smells like morning fog in a way. Yeah, here's the thing. This wine is really pretty good for the money. I have to say, the $7 is, you're getting a lot of value for that money here. And I'm a little alarmed to share that this wine has a little bit more softness, cheapness, edges to it than I typically would like. But it also has this really rich plum. It reminds me literally of like a plum sauce, like the Chinese condiment. Like, it's like a plum sauce sort of thing. It's a little soy saucy. It's like a little sweet and umami, and it has just more going on, but it also has like a through line of just being like cheap and manufactured too. But there's way more to talk about with this wine. And so with that being said, this is clearly the one that should move on. But also, I have to say, before we totally move it on, I have a complete morbid curiosity to know about the blend that we've been building back here. Like, what is 16 pour outs of red wine under $15 at Costco like? And is it better than some of the other stuff that we've been tasting? So let's give it a little taste. It really doesn't smell like anything. It's not really too much going on here. It kind of reminds me of this one, to be honest. So it's not, yeah, it just doesn't have much going on. Let's give it a taste. It's pretty good. It tastes a little cheap. Like, it tastes a little cheap hookery. If this was against some of the other wines, like the Menage a Trois, this would beat it. So I think what it shows you is how bad that wine is. But yeah, this isn't so bad. That all being said, this is not moving on. The Octopod is. So are we. Here we go. We're back. It's round 2, match 1. Okay. Up next, we still have a rather improbable matchup. A legendary, historic producer, Louis Jadot, following a millennia of tradition in producing 100% Gamay Beaujolais wine. On the other hand, like a really different approach, which is a red wine blended from grapes all over California in likely a pretty like supply chain optimized way. So not to say this isn't supply chain, I mean, this is a huge company, but as far as which one is just a little bit more rooted in tradition, it's gonna be this one. So old world versus new, here we go. All right. On the nose, this is like getting like plummy and jammy. It's like approachable. It's really nice. This wine is like soft, supple. I want to get to know it more, and I'm excited to do so now. It jumps out of the glass to me. It has a lot of character. It is lacking concentration, which is a demerit, but it makes up for it in being so unexpected, being so playful, being so like sweet and fun, but also earthy and like a sour cherry thing. Like, man, this is exciting to drink and fun, and I just keep wanting more of it. That's a big accomplishment. Bogle, though, on the other hand, is beloved by so many of you. Let's see how it does. Okay, on the nose, this has become more sophisticated. It has way more oak coming through. It has like so much more red fruit bursting out of the top now. Like it's coming a bit more alive. So this is way more of a matchup now. Let's give it a taste. Listen, you Bogleheads, which is the thing. Bogleheads are people who are into the guy who invented the index fund and started the Vanguard Corporation. His name was like John Bogle. People who follow him are called Bogleheads. So the rest of you Bogleheads out there are onto something. I'm really like, this is really quite good. The thing though, is that it has cracks in its armor. Like it has some flaws that are just creeping in that are just taking me out of it. This being like a lack of concentration, man, I mean, everyone's drinking LaCroix, Spindrifts, Waterloos. Those are the definition of lacking concentration. People have made a consumer-like category out of a lack of concentration. So it doesn't strike me as the worst crime. The rest of it is so rich with fun. This, on the other hand, its crime is that it just has this like manufactured slash kind of cleaning product-y thing in the middle. Like it's like the opening and the finisher sutured together by some sort of artificial sweetener. It doesn't go down smooth for me. It's really good. It has complexity. It has the cool nose. Like this is a good wine. It just is matched up against something that I think is living up to what fine wine does really well, a bit better. And so with that being said, I'm so sorry, Bogleheads. This one is moving on, and so are we. So again, we have a bit of a divide in terms of style of these wines going against each other. We have a loud, brash Malbec versus a much more supple, reserved Rhone wine. In fact, I'm gonna choose to try the Rhone wine first because I don't want to like blow out my palate doing the other one. So I'm gonna start over here, but let's get to the smelling part. Yeah, not too much to smell on this one. Just like a faint little hint of the word rock is what I would say. Yeah, like a rock. Like, but maybe not even a rock, it's just like the word rock. So, it's very good. It's like, it is elegant, it's sophisticated. It is a wine that has pencil shavings and graphite and minerality and granite and like plum, cherry, like, woof, that's a fun wine. Really, really pretty good. So, but I remember this being really surprising too. So I'm excited to give this a go. Here we go. Way more to smell, but I wouldn't say that what you get to smell is like super interesting. It just kind of smells like red wine. This is a very, very close one. This is gonna come down 100% to style. If you are the sort of person who values a traditional, big, new world style approach to winemaking, you're gonna really enjoy this wine for 12, 13 bucks, whatever it costs. Wow, there is a lot in this wine. It packs a punch. But I would still argue that it is not exactly living up to a Malbec designation. It's just not totally concentrated. It's just not very chewy. It's just a little soft. This Rhone wine, on the other hand, is far more traditional. It tastes like a fancy, expensive Rhone wine. And so even though it's not as loud, it's more alluring. It's more sexy. And so it's just, in my opinion, the more successful wine. They're both great, but in this case, this one is moving on. And so are we. Okay, this is our first, like, I think full-blown like for like. on so many levels. They are both Costco brand wines. They are both from Columbia Valley, and they are both Cabernet Sauvignon dominant. Whoa! The only thing they don't have in common is their price. This one was like $7-ish bucks. The real price was on the screen. This one, I clearly remember, was 15. So that is the difference. I mean, there's probably more difference than that, but at a high level, that is what we're dealing with. So does double the money get you double the wine? Here we go. Washington Valley Cabernet Sauvignon dominant Costco wines that cost between $7 and $15 starting now. Okay, this one's starting to get a little more like funky wild. It's getting a little more of like a living manure thing, but in a pleasurable kind of good way. Let's give it a taste. That wine is pretty good. Like, that is a great wine for $7. I think it also would be an amazing candidate for if you have to buy 30 bottles in a hurry for a wedding or something, you'd be getting a lot of value for your money. So it's lacking a little bit of concentration. It's got a little bit of sweetness and stuff, but overall, like, it's pretty convincing wine for $7 or ish, 7-ish. I watch it be, I'm like totally misremembering and it's actually like 150. No, it was like 7-ish. Here we go, the expensive one. The faintest little leathery tobacco thing, but boy, it's faint, it's over there. It's not really jumping out to me when you smell it. This is just such a more grown-up wine. This wine is softer. It's more approachable. This wine went to the gym, it got a little bit jacked. Like, it is harder to drink. It's more tannic, it's more aggressive, but it's so much more sophisticated. It has so much more going on. And it is the winner in this case, but boy, oh boy, no need to sleep on this one. It's still pretty good too. It's just in this case, it was outgunned by its bigger, more jacked brother. All right, let's move on. All right, we have got a pretty reasonable like for like here, a Columbia Valley Merlot, so a Bordeaux blend grape with a California Cabernet Franc, another Bordeaux blend grape. So these should be similar in style. We're not having to compensate too much for like wildly different kind of expressions of wine. We get to be just a lot more like, which of these is the better one? I am excited because air changes the game of wine, and these have all been open. They've all been getting a little bit more alive, and so let's see what's happened. This one is just, it's like it's just a light little bit of plummy, figgy, kind of charcuterie board accoutrements. But not loud, just like a light delicacy to it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's surprisingly approachable in a way that isn't flawed. That is a hard thing to manage for winemakers. You know, normally when you get into approachability, you also like sacrifice complexity. And this wine manages to really stay the path and be like, just pleasant. It is not the most, it's not like a, you know, $100 bottle of French Bordeaux that, you know, will sit on your palate for an hour after you've had it. It's just really, it's an approachable, drinkable Bordeaux blend, and I like it. Let's smell this one. This one's becoming more interesting. That green bell pepper thing is like way more present, and so is like a raspberry thing. It's just getting like, it's a little bit more like alive, I feel, in a way than this other wine. Let's give it a taste. There is more going on in this wine. It tastes to me, do you remember as a kid in your garden, might have been some sort of plant growing like sunflowers, or maybe it was like a tomato plant or something, and then you like bit the green part of the plant, like the main plant part. You were just like, what is okay, like there's the pepper, but like what is the plant? And you just like bite it and you're like, I want to try it. And it's so vegetal, and it's also like spicy, and it's also just like alive. Like it has so much more of that in it, but it also has so much more of this like manufactured softness. Like it feels like had they just let the wine be what it was gonna be and not intervene in the winery, like not try to make it more approachable, it would have probably been something really special. Instead, it's like trying to fight through all that doctoring to express itself. And so it just ends up being like a little bit of a mess. This, on the other hand, tastes more honest to me, and it tastes like it's a happy accident that it ended up approachable versus this where someone wouldn't just let the grape be what it wanted to be and instead forced it to be something it wasn't. So with that being said, this one is moving on. Columbia Winery. Let's move on to. Okay, I am not gonna lie, I am a little heartbroken about this one because these two wines have been doing an excellent job in this tasting so far, and I kind of feel like it's now my job to choose between two of my favorite children. It is with a heavy heart that I pour these two wines so that we can send one to the finals and one to slaughter. Oh boy, I don't love the way that that sounds, but it's what needs to be done. Let's begin with the 100% Gamay from Louis Jadot. Wow, this is becoming even more interesting to smell. It is so funky, like it's like the inside of the barrel room of a winery. Like, wow, this is really cool. It's alive. It just feels like it's been a great dance partner so far. And so I'm very excited to try it. Man, it's really good, Beaujolais Village. I've had a lot of this in my life. This is a particularly exceptional bottle. Like, it is really coming together in a way that I think in my years has been hard to come across with this. Mostly I've been a little miffed by these bottles. This is a really good one. It's really showing well. The only thing that isn't showing well is it just has a bit of sweetness in a way that is coming across as a little bit of flawed, and it is not super concentrated. It just tastes like they added a bit too much water to it, therefore is maybe a little cheap tasting. Here we go. Yeah, this is finally getting more like peppery, a little plummy. Richard said it was jammy on the nose, and I think that that's true. I think it's just like a sophisticated jam, like not one you'd necessarily pick off the shelf, but one that if someone was like, oh, this one is limestone jam, you'd be like, okay, I'm curious to like give that a sniff at least. So yeah, this is like rocks jam. Oh man, I have to choose one of my favorite children to survive and the other to slaughter. Here's the thing about these wines, is that stylistically, they're both dialed in. Like, these are exactly what these wines are supposed to taste like, but this one really doesn't have any flaws. Like, it doesn't jump out to me like it's by no means the best Rhone I've ever had, but shit, man, it doesn't really have any concentration issues, wateriness. Like, it's just good. This is really excellent, but this is really very good and deserves to go to the finals. And so for that, Costco, you should be proud of yourself. Good job, Costco. Really good job. All right, let's move on. So let's get into it. Columbia Winery Merlot and the Costco Signature Series Columbia Valley wine. This is becoming a bit more alive when you smell it, a little more plummy, a little more exciting, a little more racy. I'm excited to try it. Man, this wine is approachable. This is the most, this is an excellent beginner wine. Wow, I cannot recommend this wine enough for people who are new to wine and are trying to learn about it, because you're gonna get to try a big boy wine without so much of the big boy wine baggage, like high tannin, high acid. That's really good, really approachable. Here we go. Okay. Wow, man, these two wines are different expressions of a similar thing. One of them is showing up as a buddy, someone who just is down to hang. The other one is a bit more of a recluse, a bit more on its own, but you can tell has some complexity and a little bit more kind of brooding going on. But here's the thing, this wine also has some flaws. Like, that loner shit isn't really helping it all that much in this case. I think that this wine is a lot more agreeable. It has a lot more stuff to offer you. And I think that the more people you invite to drink this with would like it too. This wine is gonna shut too many people down. And honestly, it's like kind of acetone flaw is gonna get in the way real quick. So with that being said, finalist. And so we're moving on. All right, the finals. Oh my God, we have two very different expressions of wine here. On one hand, we have a Columbia Valley Merlot, so a Bordeaux style expression, and which is from Washington State, and a Rhone blend, Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre from the southern Rhone region of France, but the Costco brand. Ooh, what a value king over here. Okay, there's nothing left to do but to get into it. Here we go. The more that I drink this wine, the more that I like it. The more that I am so impressed with how deeply approachable and tasty it is without being off-putting, without like pushing people away who might not be as experienced with wine. Wow, I cannot recommend this wine enough. If you are new to wine, you should track this down. I think you'd really enjoy it. It has an exquisite balance of sweetness, tannin, acid, fruit, earthy minerality, all of that stuff. It is here in spades. It's really, really good. So now, up against Costco's Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre. Here we go. You gotta give these Frenchmen a raise. Like, they just did such a good job for you. This is a really, really great wine. And what I love so much about it is how honest and true to the expression of Southern Rhone wines it is. Like, it is those types of wines. Often in this tasting, the Costco versions of wines were just slightly cheaper versions of those wines. Like, I don't feel like that makes it a value. Like, I think the Kirkland signature brand should be about being the absolute best for the best price. This wine actually lives up to that promise. This is a full-blown Southern Rhone wine that just happens to be at a Costco brand price. And so with that being said, there is one clear winner of this particular tasting, and it is this Costco Southern Rhone wine. Woo! Go Costco! Go Costco! Wow, Costco, you won your own battle. All right, that was so much fun. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, now is a great time to do so. The more subscribers we get, the larger and more expensive these wine tournaments will be for you in the future. Think $500 wines instead of $10 and $15 ones. And don't forget about the free newsletter, which you can sign up for at wineguydustin.com. Also, if you like this video, click like. And one last thing, I have a friend who started her own business. It's called Tosi Tortilla Chips. These chips are dope. They are fantastic. She's a great friend. I'd love to do anything I can to help support her. This is for sure not a sponsored ad. This is just something I want to do to help her, but truly, she is Austin-based. These are, without any question, the best tortilla chips I have ever eaten in my entire life. Like, I don't really think about sitting on the couch and like snacking on tortilla chips. These are those. Like, I will sit and engulf a bag of these. So I highly recommend you check them out. They also are quasi-healthy. They have all these superfood type things. I wouldn't do it justice by explaining it. She could, but for sure, check them out at tosifoods.com or on Instagram at tosifoods. So I really, really hope you do. These are immaculately good. They would win in a blind tasting tournament of tortilla chips without any doubt. And if you found this video interesting, then check out this one where I blind tasted every Costco brand wine to find out which one is best. I'll see you there.